What up, YouTube Loud? How's it going, everybody? Um, it's been quite a day. I just posted, of course, my live stream review of Titans season one, episode 10. So you guys can check out or watch the video here on this channel. Some of you even tuned in during the live stream, so thank you for that. Uh, and now I want to do a live stream review of the special episode of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. This is that Netflix new show that aired this past Halloween season, but they have this one special Midwinter's Tale just for the holidays. And it aired today on Netflix, so you guys can watch it there. And I have some thoughts before I give my overall assessment of it. Well, you know what? Let me give my overall assessment first off. It's the word I'm looking for to describe this midwinter stale episode is that it is underwhelming. Underwhelming. There's no other way to put it. The episode could give us so much more, but for whatever reason, it doesn't. It could be even more celebratory, you know. Obviously, Sabrina and the Spellmans, they don't really celebrate Christmas. They have this thing called solstice, happy solstice. Remember, I did a review of Sabrina season one, and I mentioned to you that I grew up from a conservative Christian family when I was a kid. Um, I'm not religious so much anymore these days, but so it was it kind of gave me discomfort starting out watching the first few episodes of Sabrina because they say something about let's pray to Satan or like Satan will bless you instead of the usual God bless you. They say Satan blesses you, like and Satan keeps you safe. it it kind of I had to kind of get used to that, because like I said, I grew up with that mentality of Christianity, and so coming into the show, I feel like, oh my God, whoa, what's going on here? But I'm not against it. I'm not anti it. I'm just like, okay, I need to unwind some of the things that I grew up with in order to actually enjoy this show. Um, so so there's much of that element as well in this special midwinter tale. Holy crap, I can't seem to get that right off my tongue, enunciating it. Okay, so why is it underwhelming? I already mentioned to you briefly why, but let's break it down by scene by scene, or moment by moment. Um, so for as you know, with all my recap or review or TV reviews, recap of every episode, this too will contain spoilers. So spoiler alert. Now, those of you who've watched Sabrina season one, you would remember at the end of it, um, the Spellmans, Zelda and Hilda, they took in or abducted the high priest baby because it's a baby girl, and the high priest only wants a boy, so they were worried what could happen to her, and they named her Letitia, and so that's the setup also for this Midwinter Tale. We see the abducted baby, we see everything that uh, not necessarily the aftermath, or basically the episode is basically just reminding you, okay, here's where the Spellmans are at this moment in their life. And this is what happens. Now, I was worried at first. I thought this Midwinter Tale is gonna be like a filler, like, okay, we're gonna have a big hoorah rah Christmas episode, so we're gonna abandon or push aside the cliffhangers or whatever that's hanging over the characters' heads. We're gonna push that aside just for this. But thankfully, luckily, that's not the route it took. So I like that. I like that. They actually incorporate some of the things that carries over from season one to this special episode. Um, Specifically, also regarding Harry, you see Harry still dealing with the revelation that Sabrina is a witch, and that with the whole thing with Harry's brother being resurrected by Sabrina. So that the repercussion of that is seen in this episode, in this special Midwinter Tale. Um, the beginning part of this episode starts out with Sabrina wants to see her mom. And so, because she saw her mom in last season in this limbo, and that's a good thing. Mentioning that is actually good because if you come in fresh and you've never watched season one, you'll be like wondering, oh my god, what is this limbo? I'm curious now. And then you're gonna be, so that curiosity will get you to watch season one to want to see where this limbo is. And mentioning that also geeks us out, the fans who of the season one who've watched the show, because we remember what that limbo was, and it's like, oh yeah, 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 you saw the mom. So she misses her mom. She wants to see the mom. It's funny. Funny quick side note: the girl who plays little Sabrina when she meets Santa is played by McKenna Grace. I've interviewed McKenna Grace before, and McKenna Grace is a wonderful young actress who's also part of the Haunting Netflix other show, The Haunting of Hill House. So she's like, whenever Hollywood needs a little blonde girl, they would cast McKenna Grace, and so she plays younger Sabrina in this one. Um, some minor criticism, aside from the like I said, well, I haven't said it fully, but number one, Michelle Gomez, who plays, oh man, I get the name escapes me. The name escapes me right now. Okay, Michelle Gomez, Mary Wardwell. Um, it's suggested in the beginning part of this show that Sabrina asked Mary Wardwell, "Hey, can you help me with a séance? I want to do a séance so I can connect with my mom." Um, and it seems that Mary is open to helping her out, but on the other flip of that coin, she's like, I'm gonna sabotage it. I'm gonna make sure that because Mary's worried of what secrets that Sabrina's mom might spill to Sabrina about Mary or about the whole grand plan. Because now Sabrina already dotted the line and signed her soul to the devil. So Michelle Gomez's character is worried. Oh my God, what if Sabrina finds out this or that? So at first it seems that Mary Wardwell was gonna sabotage or do something about the seance and whatnot, but nothing ever happens. I mean, did I miss out something on this special episode? Did I overlook a moment? Because it seems that quote unquote plan, is never acted out by or it was never resolved again, or it was never addressed again. Throughout the rest of the episode, I was like, okay, she brings it up. It's like, oh, I gotta do something about this, but nothing ever happens. So unless I'm missing out on something, let me know, you guys. But it seems like that is not a good thing for any episode or for any movie when you bring up something and you just drop it right after you bring it up. Also on my notes here, oh, it's so good to watch. It's so good to see the three witches again, led by Prudence. I've mentioned to you in my review of Sabrina season one how I think Tati Gabrielle, who plays Prudence, is fucking hot. She's so sexy. So, and in this episode, unfortunately, they just come and go. They help out with the seance for whatever reason. They want to help out Sabrina's, and that's cool. But at the same time, they're not contributing much to the story of Midwinter's Tale. Um, that said, again, it's good to see Tati Gabrielle even for just a few minutes. But I wish the story had used them more. But that's also part of why this Midwinter's Tale is so underwhelming. Um, let's see what else I have in my notes here. Oh, real quick, that eggnog, that special eggnog that Sabrina concocted for Harry's dad, so that it would stop Harry's dad's alcoholism problem. Man, that would be like the eggnog of all eggnogs. I mean, if you can cure alcoholism with just eggnog like that, there would be no need for AA. AA would be like a thing of the past. Everybody would be like, "Oh, my alcoholism is cured. My addiction to alcohol is cured." Um, so, speaking of what, while we're on that note, Harry, like I said, still grappling, still wrestling, still trying to wrap his head around the fact that he's, the girl that he used to date, the girl that he used to kiss, the girl he used to, that she's a witch. And so, and she doesn't, and at the end of the episode he said, hey, don't use that dark magic on me, don't use it on my family, don't use it, you know I appreciate the eggnog effort, but don't use that ever again. And I think that is cool. Why it's cool? Because that will be the reasonable way for a person to go about it. Because Harry seems like a reasonable guy in my opinion. It's not like the writers are like, oh, you know what? Let's have Harry forgive Sabrina, and at the end of the episode, the Midwinter's Tale, that they're happy again, joyous in this holiday, hoop hurrah. No, no, no. Uh, yeah, he's still not there yet, and that's good. That's good. If it carries over to season two, it has to have a big something for him to finally be able to welcome back Sabrina in his life fully. Maybe not romantically, but it has to have a moment. And I think this in this special episode, that wasn't it, and that's good. So I'm glad that it ends still with Harry and Sabrina, um, not together, if you will. So the seance thing, real quick, some comments on that. I like the whole sequence, but again, it's part of that underwhelming thing I just mentioned about the whole show, because I think the seance, even the seance, it could have gone more. It could have shown more. And I remember the seance sequence in the series Penny Dreadful. Did you guys watch Penny Dreadful? I watched Penny Dreadful religiously because I was a huge fan of Eva Green. Eva Green is one of the hottest girls in the world. And that seance episode was amazing. I think things were flying. I think she was contorting, and the whole guests in that building were terrified. Because seance, you never know what happened. In this one, okay, the mom showed up, and that's it. you, apparently, that's the way for the Yule lads to go in. The Yule lads, those invisible pesky children of Gryla. That's the way for them to a way for them to come in. With the whole seance causing the fire in the fireplace to go out. Um, but other than that, it was, again, it's underwhelming. Like, I don't know why they don't want to give us more. I just don't get it. Now let's get to the next part of my note here, so we can wrap this up. Uh, Again, why it's underwhelming? Another reason, not again, I'm sorry. Another reason is that the inclusion of Gryla and Krampus, which in here is Mr. Bartel. It's like blue balls, man. It's like blue balls. Like you tease it, you give it, you give it to the audience for a few minutes, and then you take it back, or it would get resolved such an abrupt and unsatisfying way. Um, the and if you read Gryla and Krampus on Wikipedia, and I had to look it up because well, I'm familiar with Krampus, but I'm not familiar with Gryla, so I had to look it up. Gryla eats children, and Krampus is no different. I mean, I don't know if he eats children, but he punishes bad children just like Gryla eats bad children. But in this episode, in this Midwinter Tale, Gryla is the protector of children, and so she is on the opposite end of Krampus when if they were ever friends on the European in the European folklore, I'm sorry, if they ever existed, that's what I'm trying to say, then they would probably be friends because in the European folklore, they both hate and punish and eat bad children. So, and the whole thing too, when Gryla saves Susan from Krampus, aka Mr. Bartel, she says to her, "You gotta get away from here. Go back to your dad, because you do not want to see what comes next or what I'm gonna do to Krampus." And then bam, that's it. The next thing you know, Krampus gets punished. He gets turned into wax. But I'm like, in my head, as an audience, I'm like, no, I want to see what happens. I want to see what comes next. Fine, Susan can go out, whatever, but don't don't cheat us out of that scene. I want to see that whole sequence of you battling Krampus or turning him into wax, what have you. It's like, oh man, seriously, it just one after the other. That the episode of this Midwinter Tale, it just for whatever reason doesn't want to give it to you, man, and that's frustrating. Um, it has the potential. It can definitely go there, but I don't know why it does not. So, to conclude, um, let's see here, whatever I have on my note here before I lose my train of thoughts, so I get everything covered. It doesn't even have a good setup for season two. I'm sorry, part two, because part two airs in April. Remember, Sabrina is not one of those other regular shows. They're gonna. I think The Ranch, which is also a Netflix show, and also Fuller House. They have what's called part two, so it's not necessarily season two. And then you go to season two or the new season, but each season has two parts. So part two will be April, but by the end of this Midwinter Tale episode, it doesn't really have a hook or a cliffhanger, so to speak, and like making you wanna, like, oh my god, I can't wait for April to see what what they make of that. They don't even have that again. So overall, to conclude, while it's good to see Sabrina back again, because I'm a huge fan of season one or part one of season one this past October. At the same time, this Midwinter Tale is quite the letdown. Um, it's a good idea. It's a good concept. I hope it happens annually. Just like Doctor Who would have Christmas episode. Yeah. Speaking of which, Michelle Gomez, who is so hot for her age, by the way. I looked up Michelle Gomez. Man, she even has a YouTube channel where she gives out like, advice or funny advice to people, and she looks fucking hot in that one. So anyway, so she used to be a villain in Doctor Who. I think I don't really watch Doctor Who, but my friend is a big fan of Doctor Who, and so Doctor Who has Christmas episodes. Hopefully, we get Midwinter Tale every year, but hopefully for next year it'll be more. It'll be something more. One last note before I let you go. Um, it's cool that Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is a way for the writers of the show, the producers, to to include folklore characters from Eastern Europe or European folklore characters. That's cool, right? Just like Gryla and Krampus in this one. And I'm thinking while I was watching, I was like, holy crap, what if they also include folklore characters from other regions? Asian Asian folklore. I'm Asian. I grew up in Asia. They have a ton of mythical creatures and demons and folklore stories from there too. So while Sabrina is mostly Anglo and America based or British based, what have you, or uh, hopefully they'll expand. I want to see the writers get creative to incorporate Sabrina's story or the Spellman stories, and to have them collide. To incorporate, I'm sorry, to incorporate other folklores from other regions of the world into Sabrina's and Spellman's lives, and it'll be interesting to see how they all collide. I want to see that. I want to see that. I think this is a fantastic show, that it exists, so that it could be an avenue for those lesser known mythical creatures out there to also have their moment to shine. So I can't wait. Hopefully that's the direction that they're taking. So keep your fingers crossed. So that's it. That's my review of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Midwinter's Tale episode, which I find to be very underwhelming. Man, such a letdown. So let me know your thoughts if you've watched the episode. What did you think? Share them in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe to my channel and ring the bell so you can get notified whenever I post new videos. And if you want to help support this channel, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. That's patreon.com/ramascreen. Let's rock this.